Hey, it's Tony freaking Fonte. How you doing? You are listening to the Laughing Through Life podcast, where we have more fun, live fully, live on purpose, and break the damn cycle so you can have absolute fun in life. And I have the honor and the privilege of having one of my greatest friends and actually one of my greatest mentors in life, Mike Kitko, in here. He's a executive leadership coach, but he's got a lot of amazing stuff coming on, and he's having some transitions, and I can't wait to hear about them, and I can't wait to share them with you all. So I'm not even going to sit here and talk too much right now, even though I love to talk. Mike knows I love to talk too. But I want to bring him on because this guy has some powerful stuff to share, and I want to make sure that you understand and have this stuff. So without further ado, I'm just going to bring Mike Kitko on, and then I'm going to ask you a question. We're just going to fly with it and have an amazing, powerful question because I know it's going to be powerful. So, Mike, welcome to the show, man. I'm so honored to have you here.
Yeah, man, the honor and the privilege is all mine. And I'll tell you, when me and Tony are in flow, when we're jamming, there is not a second that is silent, right? Somebody's talking, somebody's rocking, and somebody's jamming, and it's a lot of fun. But holy cow, it just feels like a machine gun's coming at you.
Yes, it does. And it's like, no, I need you to shut up so I could say something now. No, I need you to shut up so I could say something now. It's like, Tony, shut up. Mike, shut up. I got something. Damn it. But
I gave Tony full permission to cut me off whenever I go on too long. So
yep, it's like, no, I got to say something because we're both Leos too, so we got to have the center stage. And then he's
give me the spotlight.
Yeah, it's like, wait, you've had too much. I need more spotlight. And it is coming in, and me, I love to be freaking center of attention and just being loud, and you're more of the center of attention in a different way, which is great. But I'm more of the, here I am, look at me, and being all crazy. And you have a more intense but different style of doing it, but it's still freaking powerful as hell.
So let me say that Tony likes to be seen and heard, and I like to be felt. How about that? I like to be the guy in the corner that you can feel, and you can feel the intensity, and you can feel the power, and you can feel like the intensity, I guess is the best word to say. That's my preferred. I don't want to be the center of attention in terms of drawing the most attention to myself if I'm not connecting with someone and just powerfully moving their ass.
Yes, you love that energetic shift where I love to be seen and do that same thing, right. But it's completely different, but yet equally powerful. And I absolutely love that. So I want to get moving because we can be here all day and all night, but it's not going to happen today. We both have stuff to do. But I want you to share your journey because I got a lot of things. You got the book. You got this new membership thing going on. You have amazing shifts going on that's shifting humanity. And I want to know, and I want you to share how you got to where you are right now. Mike Kitko Coaching, the imposter in charge, leadership expert. I'm running out of air with all this powerful stuff that you have and who you are. Share with you where you began, how you got here, because dude, it is freaking powerful. And I know there's people listening that are aligning this to who are struggling right now, especially men, but there's a lot of people struggling, trying to find their meaning in life who are like, do I even matter? So share your message on how you got to where you are now, being this powerful creator, this powerful manifester, and this powerful freaking human being standing in your full I am power.
Yeah. So it starts, in Baltimore, Maryland, and growing up in a German Catholic family and in a German Catholic neighborhood. And I went to Catholic school and I went to a Catholic church, and I was surrounded by people who basically, and no offense to anyone, I think everybody, is privileged to have and should own their own beliefs. And I think love is letting others voluntarily evolve. So I'm not allowed to tell you what to believe, and you're not allowed to tell me what to believe, and everything. That is the essence of love, right? So, and that's really where it starts, is that I was surrounded by a bunch of people telling me what to believe, whether it be religion, whether it be with politics, with, my father was a long-time union steel worker, and he would come home and tell me how hard money was to make, and you had to sacrifice your well-being. And he told me that, if you're not protected by a union, then the man's going to take it away from you. And, politicians are crooks, and there's, they're all just trying to take it, and they're all just going to steal every penny from you. So it was like painful belief after painful belief after painful belief, and it was just layered. And at some point I was like, holy shit, this world is dangerous, right? Oh my God, I can't even like move without somebody hurting me, harming me. And then I grew up, my father, like I said, he was the union steel worker. So he was a blue collar mentality, and his kind of essence and the way he parented is, hey, if we have a disagreement, we're going to go down to the lot and we'll have it out. And the person who wins, they were right. And then he raised my brother, my older brother, who grew up in the same mentality, right? Except my brother adopted it. My brother was like, yeah, this is awesome. So, and my brother was in a group of friends, and those guys were always just fighting, everybody. It was just insane. So the area I grew up in, there were a lot of kids a little older than me and a lot of kids my age. And it wasn't like it was a lower middle class neighborhood. So there was just a lot of violence and a lot of fighting and a lot of aggression. And I'm like, holy shit, this world is scary. So I always felt like a lack of courage inside. I always felt scared. I'm like, no, man, I just want to shrink and I just want to hide. And then I continued to show up and try to be that guy who was tough on the outside. But inside, I'm like, no, it just doesn't feel right. But I still, okay, this is the way to live. And if you don't live this way, you're broke. So, and then there were religious beliefs layered on top of that. And I'm like, okay, well, here's what I'm supposed to believe. Here's the only truth. And then, I kept carrying politics, right? So same thing, you've got to be this political affiliation or you're not a good human being. And I'm like, holy crap, there's only one way to live, and everybody else that doesn't live that way, they're all wrong. So then you become a judgmental asshole, right?
And I want to just jump in really quick, as you said, it was very, I can't even put words to it because it's what you said. It's like you got to believe this certain way, and whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's generational stuff being passed on to you, right? And you're like you're trying to fit in, you're trying to live this thing because you think you're supposed to do it, but you feel this disconnect, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm broken. And you mentioned it's like, I must be fucking broken because I don't feel right, but yet I'm doing that. Why? What the fuck is wrong with me?
There's a right way, and I don't like align with that way. So I'm the problem.
Yes.
Right. So I'm the problem, not the way. It's not you're especially the Catholic school teacher with the ruler across the knuckles. There's only one way, and if you step outside of those lines, then you are going to hell. Right? You are going to burn for eternity if you step outside the lines. It's like, as a kid growing up under those conditions, it's like, this world is dangerous and it's violent, and you see it everywhere. So then when I felt this lack of courage and this lack of confidence and this fear inside me that I was taught men don't have fear, right? So that 1950s Union steelworker guy, but men are tough and we don't have fear. So I joined the Marine Corps, and that was going to help me overcome this fear. And the craziest thing happened. It didn't, because there was still this inside turmoil that was going on, and it just put on an even tougher exterior because I was a leader of Marines and I had Marines in my charge, and I was a good Marine, but there was still this stuff inside that I couldn't get rid of. So then I stepped out of the Marine Corps and I joined corporate America, and I started to ascend in the ranks, quickly. And there was, I would be out in front of, sometimes hundreds of employees that I was responsible for. And inside I'm quaking and I'm thinking, this is all just a ruse. This is all make believe. They don't understand that I'm so broken and I'm so damaged, and I'm just saying things that I don't believe, and I'm saying things that I don't feel. And it was a complete lack of congruency. Inside and outside just felt and looked different. And it wasn't until I kept ascending the ladder, and I started drinking a lot more than is healthy for a human being. And then I started taking things out on my family, and that accelerated their pain. And then my wife and I went at it full bore, head to head, and my kids were being raised in a toxic environment. It just kept getting worse and worse until, thank God, the bottom dropped out of all of it. All came to a crashing halt. And I was forced, I tried to get more jobs, right? I tried to go, but I kept being runner up. So, that you can believe in whatever God you believe in, but the God that I believe in was like, nope, there's something better for you. for you. My God doesn't have a white beard and he doesn't live in the clouds. He's everywhere around us, right? He's inside, he's outside, he's the chair, he's the table, he's the air, he's the space, he's the matter, he's all of it, right? It's all of it. But there was this universal plan that said, yeah, you did that for 43 years and you're not going to keep doing that. So we're going to do something a little different. So I like created all this space in my life. I stopped chasing and I just went inside and I started like process of inquiry. And why do I believe this? And what's a healthier belief? And why do I act like this? And why do I feel this? And really connecting with myself and my mental and my emotional state. The pain that was inside, for the first time, I actually like stopped trying to achieve externally and I started trying to achieve internally. And through that process of internal achievement, the internal healing, and forming a new identity around who I am, not what other people tell me I'm going to be or who other people tell me I'm going to be, that's when I really started feeling like for the first time that I mattered and I was significant. So for me, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health creates internal significance. Now, in that lineage that I just gave you, emotional health means understanding that we are all fear-bound creatures. And just because you feel fear, just because you feel anger, just because you feel grief, shame, guilt, doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. And it makes you just as equally as significant as everyone else. So I wrote this book called The Imposter in Charge. Right there it is. I wrote this book and it's about my journeys from feeling internally broken to understand that all of the brokenness that you feel inside of yourself can be healed because it's really you just trying to live somebody else's life or living in the past or living in the future or doing anything except living now and living for yourself, putting yourself first, living authentically, living genuinely, surrendering to your desires, surrendering to your fear, surrendering to your talent, surrendering to your weakness, and literally surrender to the present moment in that I'm perfect right now, just like everybody else. And that allowed me to start building, like when people saw the transition and the transformation that was taking place, people started like knocking on my door, trying to figure out, hey, what are you doing? Right? Something's different. What's different? And I would tell them about my journey. And some people would say, hey, can you help me with that? Because I'm kind of going through the same thing. And that was the start of my coaching business. And life right now looks nowhere like it did 4 years ago. My wife and I are business partners and we have a beautiful marriage. Our kids are in the process of healing and they're doing great. We've got a whole new group of friends that you know, like Tony, that we don't have, you know, we don't share a mutual desire to destroy ourselves. And we share a mutual desire to lift everybody up that we come in contact with. And that's created and accelerated a life that I couldn't even imagine 4 years ago.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I remember when I met you, I think it was back in 2017, you know, you were just coming, I mean, in the beginning stages of this journey. And I was in this spot living in this, well, I wasn't living authentically, but I was like, oh, I'm a coach, I'm doing this and everything's great and blah, blah, blah. And inside I was still freaking struggling. Even though I did a lot of work and got me to a great place, I was still struggling internally. And I still remember you were like, Tony, you ready? And then it was like a year later, you're like, you ready? Nope. I'm holding on to my damn beliefs. I'm holding on to these fuckers. I ain't letting go. Tony, you ready? Nope. Don't want nothing to do that shit. Tony, you ready? And you just kept doing it and then I'm, nope, fuck you. And it was like, in a loving way, it's like, no. And then I'm like pissed off. I'm like, because you were like pissed, like, damn, this dude's got it all. And then you're like, wait, that dude don't have it all. And then I'm like, this fucker has it all. What the fuck? And then, I mean, it's just go back and forth. And then it's like, finally I said, dude, I can't do this. Something's going on. I'm still stuck. And then you brought me on this journey, which was at first I still had a ton of resistance to it. But then I was still open going in. And finally, one day, the universe said, okay, we're done with this. It's time for you to start shedding. And then I went through that process, which you know, a lot of people think of spiritual awakening and spiritual moments of this just peaceful Zen moments, right? It is not like that all the time.
Exact opposite.
It's like, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. What the fuck is wrong with me? Am I dying? Because, dude, I remember those times I was like going through those heavy panics.
What's happening to me?
Yeah.
Panic attack.
And you're like, just breathe. I'm trying to. You're like, you're okay. I'm like, I'm dying. Tony, you're dying, but not literally physically dying.
That's just shedding all the layers of who you're not that you've accumulated over your life, right? All the fears and all the limiting beliefs and all the experiences that you've identified with and that you've grasped onto as part of your identity. And when you start that process of shedding, it's scary. And anxiety kicks in. It's like, oh my God, I'm becoming somebody different. And it's scary because it's uncertain. And the human body, the ego especially, loves certainty.
Yes.
And in the absence of certainty, there's fear and anxiety. But the spiritual process is embracing, right? Surrendering and embracing uncertainty, because it's the only certainty we have, that everything's uncertain. We control nothing. But the ego, right? This false identity that we have between our temples, this ego tells us that we control everything and that we can control everything and that we can control anything. And it's all garbage.
Yeah, and it also says that we have to control it because that's the only way to get to where we got to get, because if we don't, we're going to lose everything. We're going to die. We're going to be rejected. And because that's one of the still things that I've been holding on and still releasing. And a lot of it too is stepping into that unknown. And I just got done watching Frozen 2 for the second time. And I got to tell you, man, Disney, there are a lot of spiritual people up in there writing them scripts, because absolutely. I was like, holy crap. She goes, because I don't know if you've seen it, and I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but the one song like Panic at Disco does for the soundtrack, it's like, I'm afraid of this power and stepping into the unknown, because I don't know what I'm risking stepping into that unknown. But that unknown is God, the universe. It's all of that. And it's like, yeah, what does that mean? But what it really means, and I had something that came to me today. It was a meme that I saw, but it's like your higher self says, like, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of this. And it's like, and your higher self says, well, yeah, because if you actually accept the success, you actually have to admit that you are that powerful.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Yeah. And
success breeds success. So if you accept one success, then you accept another, right? So and again, going back to that abusive alpha asshole stuff, that shit that I was born into, there's still elements of that I'm shedding, right? So, and that goes into some of the new pivots that I've made in my business. So I remember when I was like first starting on the speaker circuit, and I was standing up in front of a crowd of women, and there was like 75 female entrepreneurs in the crowd, and my wife, I'm going to get emotional now, and my wife was in the back of the room, and she's blowing kisses and like telling me I love you, and I couldn't keep the emotion inside, and I just started crying, and I started telling all these ladies, that is my power and my strength. When I'm scared, and this is shit that I would never admit to, years ago, when I was living in my ego and my little shrunken state, not allowing myself to be a human being and feel emotion, is that, that's my courage and my power and my strength. When I'm scared, she is my harbor. When I want to shrink, she is my courage. When I feel like ice, she is my fire. She is the power in this relationship. And I couldn't stop the emotion. I my eyes are welling up right now. I couldn't stop the emotion. I cried 15 times in the half an hour or however long I was up. And it was the first standing ovation I ever got. Because our world, our universe, our society is so attached to the concept that men are strong and don't feel emotion and shouldn't feel emotion, that when we demonstrate some essence of emotion and being a human being, people flock towards you. And our guys, listen up, lean in, fellas. I want us to feel emotion. So busy thinking that we have to be like these alpha cavemen, thump our chest and be the Marlboro Man, the essence of strength and courage and external confidence, and not have fear and not feel fear. We're so attached to that old caveman mentality they're getting turned off, and they're evolving past us. They're evolving beyond us. That when we start to feel emotion and we let down and we cry in front of our spouse, we cry in front of our significant other, we actually demonstrate that we don't have the inner authority that we always say we do from time to time, that our inner authority is actually cyclical. Start to like melt into us. And they start to feel like a partner instead of just a submissive, subservient housewife. When we allow them to feel like power and strength, because they are, we don't have to be that all the time. 1 + 1 = 3 in a relationship. If it's not accretive, then there's no reason for it to exist. I'm allowed to melt into my wife because at that time when I don't have it, generally, because she is like the perfect soulmate for me, and we overuse those words. When I don't have it, she does. She doesn't have it, I do. 1 + 1 = 3.
That's the new math.
That's right. 1 + 1 in a relationship. If it's less than 2, then it's codependency. If it equals 2, then there's no reason for it to exist. If it equals 3, then you're in a true relationship, right? Our spouses, our mate, our significant other is looking for us to be a human being, not a freaking masculine robot with no emotion.
Well, yeah, and I want to interject in that because that was one of my biggest things, especially when I started and something I still work through. And I want people to understand who are listening to this and you're on this journey that you don't get to this full enlightenment and going, okay, I don't feel anything, I'm great or whatever. It's possible, sure. But really the ego, now we shift that ego to, okay, I got this fear, and it helps you continue to evolve, to continue to grow or shrink. But when you become more aware, you start opening up to this realm of, oh, I got this fear. It's time to move into it and transcend it and transmute it into power and courage. And getting away from this, well, I go to work, I'm the provider, I'm the protector. If I'm not doing that, then I'm not a fucking man, because we still have that dogma still there, and it's absolute bullshit. And that's one of the things that dude used to laugh at me because I'm struggling with this, because here I am, a single dad raising a teenager who's getting ready to go into freaking high school, and I'm still trying to fathom that. But I've been raising her for 9 years, and I'm like, I'm not a man, I'm not doing this. She's going to reject me. And she's like, no, you don't, dude. You could lose everything, and she would still fucking love you. Everything. You could have no money, have nothing, live on the street, because you connect with her, and that gets me emotional now, because she's been my greatest teacher. And I'm thankful that my wife died, because she died to save me. Jen died to save me, gave me a daughter, because she knew that she was going to be the one to help bring me up out of this, to make the shift, to become this man, to then show her, heal the pain that I caused my own daughter, which she's still healing a lot of that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But she sees me healing myself, and now I can show up and say, I'm gonna fucking cry. I'm gonna feel this emotion, because now I'm real. Now I have freedom. Now I have emotional intelligence, because I know how to handle that shit. And fuck that whole, you gotta be provider, and that doesn't make, no. If you can't handle that shit, you can't have emotion. Alpha. Yeah, I'm a robot. No. And women, like you said it earlier too, women are like, I'm fucking done with this, because their emotional presence, right? Because that's the creative, that's the intuition, that's the love, that's the power that's been so suppressed and repressed for so many years, because the whole divine masculine feminine, men couldn't handle it back then, the power of the woman. So they tried to push it down. And that's where this journey went this crazy. Now we're going through this shift of consciousness, and I'm getting chills right now as I'm talking about this. It's like there's a shift, and I'm like, it's going to be redone.
We've got, fellas, we've got some catching up to do. They've evolved beyond us, and we've kind of held on to this primitive nature, right? And our women have evolved beyond us. And Tony used the words, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine masculine like holds space for the feminine to ride the wave, right? And if we're demonstrating anger and guilting and shaming and threatening and blaming, you're being the exact opposite of a leader. And fellas, we're meant to lead, but that leadership does not require anger and guilt and shame and projection and manipulation and control. It involves holding loving space while other people, like love, letting others voluntarily evolve. That's leadership. That's love. That's what your family needs from you. It's for you to hold safe space. And here I go. It's for you to hold safe space and certainly be that protector. But to be that protector, you can't be their abuser too. And if you're blaming, guilting, shaming, manipulating, controlling, if you're trying to fit them into your box, your belief system, you're not a leader. You're not you're not a parental figure that has their best interest in mind. You're a parental figure that has your best interest in mind because you're trying to make them in the images that you think they should be instead of allowing them to grow into who they're designed to be. That is abuse and torment, not love and encouragement.
And that's where toxic masculinity comes from. Living like, no, you got to do it this way, my way. And then you still hear a lot of like, well, back in the day, you know, we could need to go back to when we spanked kids because that's what worked. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is why we've been so messed up. And my brother, and I love my brother, but he's like, no, we turned out fine. Did we? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, you've been.
We don't think we turned out fine because we're breathing.
That's it.
Pain, right? Because we're in pain.
That means just because we're breathing doesn't mean we're living at all. Does not mean, I had Eric Rosen on the other day doing his, and he said that he goes, just because you're breathing doesn't mean you're living. You're just going through the motions. And I'm like, yes. And that's literally what we do because we shut off that emotional piece. And we're like, we need to use logic. We need to use logic. Fuck emotion. And this is why you see the dogma and the stigma of guys like when a girl gets emotional. Oh, shit, I got to fix that shit because I can't. Because they don't know how to handle it. It's because it brings up that energy and they're like, no. Versus now it's like, here, do this. And I have some stuff coming up here that I'm getting back into the whole comedy scene of doing these funny videos. You're going to see some shit like this coming out because that's what I'm supposed to do is bring the stereotypical shit and the dogma and making fun at it. And then obviously having to shift in that and bringing humor, transformational humor and comedy into that.
Here's the interesting part. Here's the interesting part about this. So what you need most is the thing that you like push away and ridicule the most. So there's people that are really, really out of shape and you can see it in their figure and how they treat themselves. And they're the first ones to jump on Facebook and joke about how much they're killing themselves. Right. Or, you know, Angie will tell you, my wife, Angie, will tell you that when she was the most out of shape, she would say, if you find me running, you better like kill the bear behind me because that's the only reason I'll be running. And she was so far out of shape because she didn't think it was available to her to actually be healthy. She was making fun of it to make herself feel better. Right?
Yes, because she didn't feel that it was good. Like, okay, that's good for other people, but I don't deserve to feel that good.
Go to the next level. People like that are in mental chaos. When I work with them and I say, hey, let's give meditation a little taste. They're like, I can't meditate, and I'm not going to meditate. And it's hard. And blah, blah. They're the people that could benefit the most from meditation. Whatever you kind of push away is the thing you need the most. Now I'm going to take this to the next level. Guys are the least likely to ask for help. So the people that are in the most pain because we're trying to be the Marlboro Man and we're trying to be the rough, tough, primitive caveman, right? With nice cars and being muscle bound and leading through anger, right? Leading through guilt and shame. We're the ones who need to help the most, and we're the least likely to ask for help. I've created, you know, we're going to get to it in a bit. I've created a men's group just for that reason. So we can come to and say, guys, I'm fucking scared. Because you know what? There's 7.7 billion people on the face of the planet. Every single person lives in fear. Because fear is in your DNA. And to say or try to show, I know it from experience, to try to show the world that you have no fear or that you're courageous beyond fear is just admitting that you're lost and that you're weak, right? External strength, if you have to say it, you're not it. If you have to say that, if you're trying to prove that you have it, then you really don't have it. Because inside, you don't feel like you have any of those things. So the more you need to be outside, the less you really possess inside.
Exactly. And I love that you're sharing that piece of it, because, and I want to go back just for a second on the alone piece, right? It's like, no, men are taught, you got to do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You're fucking weak. And it's really the stigma. And I want to say something too, because I grew up in this anger life, right? And I watched my brother and my dad self-destruct. They've both had multiple heart attacks, and my dad's slowly dying. And it just that's a form of suicide. And you hear guys talk about, like, I have no fear. I fear nothing. And I'm like, bullshit. That's a wall. We all have fears behind that. And I'm like, if you're getting anger and snapping out, all that is a secondary emotion to fear. Anger is fear, period. You feel like you're losing control. You feel like you're losing something. So you're getting angry because you got to fucking try to control it. And you're roaring to get that shit back. It's
a protection mechanism.
Yes.
Anger is a protection mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. That's it.
Yeah.
You gotta, so is projection. So is manipulation and control. If you need someone else to be somebody else for your benefit, or to be somebody else, or you make fun of someone else, or you judge them, or you ridicule, or you belittle, or you do anything that's not love, letting others voluntarily evolve, it's all fear-based.
Because you don't feel it on the inside, so you got to get it from the outside. And this is what happened. Dude, I was like this in my own relationships. I either was that guy or had it done to me, and all they were doing was reflecting the shit back. But either or, it's like, you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you got to do this. You got to complete me. Oh, my better half. No, there is no half. There's two whole fucking people, and then amazing freaking universal God energy right there. And I get that's your 1 + 1 3, because you're both moving, but you're there to evolve each other and call each other out on your shit. And if you get triggered, guess what's happening? It's for you to grow, not project that shit back.
Yep. When you don't have a healthy connection with yourself, then you're trying to control the 7.7 billion people on the planet. And you're literally telling yourself, as soon as I can get everybody to think like me, act like me, to protect me from my emotions, to not trigger me, to treat me the way I want to be treated. As soon as I can get 7.7 billion people to be who I want them to be, it's good. I got this all. This life is going to be awesome.
I'm laughing at that because that's what we did.
That's what judgment is.
I know.
Like mentally and emotionally trying to get them to be who you want to be, right? They're not broken. You're the judgmental asshole. If you're judging them and like ridiculing them or belittling or condescending them or looking at them and thinking they're an idiot, you're the judgmental asshole. They're fine.
Yeah, any judgment you're placing on someone is us as shit about ourselves, and it's so fucking funny that it's like, no, it's everybody else. No, fucker, it's you.
The wagon wheel. So my father and my brother and my mother, and they've long since passed. But I remember my brother, being that it's almost comical now. But he was that alpha male, and he was a little guy, but he was a rough, tough kid in the neighborhood, and he was constantly telling me that certain ones of his friends, yeah, he's an asshole. He's an asshole. And no matter where he went, everyone was assholes. I was thinking, at some point, I remember having this thought, like a wagon wheel, right? The only thing that's the same on a wagon wheel is the middle. All of it is connected to the middle. If he's the middle and everybody else is assholes, but they're not assholes. It's the wagon. It's that spoke in the middle that's bringing them all together, right? So no matter where, there's a guru right now, he's not like a spiritual guru, but Grant Cardone, right?
Yes.
He talked about this, like, you're the problem because no matter where you go, there you are, right? I love that line. No matter where you go, there you are. If you keep running into problems, it's not the places you're going.
It's you.
No matter where you go, there you are. You gotta go inside and figure that out. If you're trying to control the outside, it's because you don't feel like you can control the inside. And there's really, when you boil everything down, there's only a couple things that you really control. You control how you treat your body. You control how you interact with your mind. You control how you interact and your awareness and your observation of your emotions. And you also control your spiritual connection. That is it. That's all you control in the world. So let's call that personal power. That's all you control. And if you're trying to control anything on the outside of you, then you're better served to stop trying to control those things and go back inside and control one of those 4 elements, because you've lost touch and you've lost control, and you're trying to manipulate others for your neglect of yourself or your inability to control yourself.
A lot of times, and I know this is for me too, because there's for years I could not stand to be by myself because I didn't want to be alone with that shit because it was fucking scary.
And what you need the most, what you reject is what you need the most, right?
Yes. And people need to go in because they're afraid of going within, because what the fuck is that going to do? Or they'll tiptoe around the edge of it. And I'm like, I'll do a little bit of meditation. I'll do a little bit of personal development, but I don't want to go too fucking deep because that is too painful and I'm going to fucking die if I do that. Or what's that really going to expose? And that's that unknown piece. But I'm like, man, there's so much fucking freedom there because you let go of the ego. You realize when you start observing this, when you start becoming more of aware, it's like, who the fuck was that just had that thought? Where'd that thought come from? And then you have another one. Who the fuck are you?
I was just telling Angie this morning. So a great book, right? The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And he talks it's like one of the first books I give to everyone when I'm working with them or when we're friends, or if I like you, I'm going to tell you about the Untethered Soul. So anyway, if I'm talking to you, I'm going to tell you about the Untethered Soul. One of the things that Michael Singer talks about the most is observing your thoughts versus participating in them, right? A lot of times we think we are our thoughts, but it's not true. You are the observer of your thoughts, because if you are your thoughts, you can stop thinking. And we can't stop thinking. You're going to have thoughts all the time, right? They're like a string. They're like machine guns, like me and Tony talking. The point being is,
pew, pew, pew.
This morning I was in now my wife and I are, not only are we married, but we're business partners as well. I'm getting ready to sneeze at some point. But not only are we married, but we're business partners as well. And one of the primary responsibilities of her in our business is for her to control my calendar, and for her to understand that, we're trying to connect with many people in podcasts and speaking engagements, and I've got prospect calls and things like that. So she kind of controls my calendar, not like being on a leash, but to make sure that if I'm talking, then we're serving. If I'm not talking, then we're not serving, right? And we can't build a business if we're not serving. So the point being is, I'm sitting there and she's like getting ready to pour a cup of coffee, and she says, "Hey, I saw this meeting on your calendar this morning. What's up with that?" And I observed this voice go, "The fuck are you worried about my calendar for?" And I went, "Holy shit, where did that come from?" Because it wasn't me. It was like this thought that just appeared out of nowhere. And I told her about it, because she and we have a very honest and open relationship. We live in integrity, right?
As you should.
We didn't live in integrity. So that was something. It was really cool. Like, oh my God, look what I just observed. Listen to this. It said you said that, and I was like, who the fuck are you? Who do you care about my calendar? It's kind of your job, right? It's our stated objective that you control my calendar, and I've given you full responsibility and authority for my calendar, and you can put stuff on, and you can take stuff all day. I've given her full reign and authority over my calendar. But yet, when she asked me a question, I watched as a thought popped up that said, "Who the fuck are you to worry about my calendar?" Now, I don't know where that came from. It came from my past, my experiences, fear, events that happened before, things, abuse in our marriage before, and neglect that showed up like years ago. But in this moment, my mind was triggering a thought based on things that happened a long time ago, because right now is perfect in my marriage. I mean, we are living like the marriage of our dreams. I can't believe we get to have this marriage. But the thoughts that we have are based on the past. They're not based on now. They're fear-based thoughts, right? Most of our 90-some% of our thoughts, I would estimate, are fear-based, and they're trying to keep you stuck, and they're trying to protect you, and because they haven't learned how to surrender. So to sum it up, are you participating in your thoughts, or are you observing them? Because if you believe everything that your thoughts tell you, you're fucked.
And this is why we have mental illness, because people buy into that shit. And then you have mental health professionals, which I'm not knocking them because they're very helpful, but they put these labels on us, and because they're living in that belief system, because we all do the best we can to what we know, right? So you can only do that. So you're living in a medical history in the medical field says, oh, this is how you are. This is what all we understand of the brain, because they don't want to go any deeper than that. They don't know how to go any deeper than that, or they're just resisting going deeper because, holy shit, will I be out of a job if people can do this stuff? And the medical field and medical, our system, the way it is now in the Western world, is in that way. It's like, oh, no, shit. No, we won't have this. So if you're going to have this, you're going to have this mental illness, you're stuck with it, and you get a label, and people just go, oh, that's just who I am. And then I want to move back to the meditation, because I hear people go, I've tried that meditation and it didn't work. That's like saying, I went to the gym once, but I never got buff and I'm still fat or out of shape or whatever. It's like, it's a muscle.
Trying meditation a few times is like trying to swallow the ocean, but just taking like 3 sips and saying, I failed. Right? If you don't keep going, of course you're not going to try to swallow the ocean.
But we also have these perceived notions.
But there is no there either.
Yeah, like how meditation's supposed to be. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to clear my mind, and I'm not supposed to have any thoughts. And I'm like, no, you're still going to have thoughts. It's just, but you learn to step back, and it takes time. And in the beginning of meditation, for anybody who's said, oh, I've done it before, or who's just beginning, in the beginning, when you first start, your mind and your body is going to say, fuck this. No, do that. And it's going to do everything it can. It's going to have itches. It's going to have this. Your mind's going to go even faster. And I want you to understand this, and Mike, you can confirm this, is that when that happens, you are on the right track and it's working, because now you're starting to have rewire some things.
Yeah. Well, your brain's main mission in life is one thing: keep you alive. And it views anything that's different or uncertain as imminent death. Anything that's unfamiliar, anything that's uncertain, anything that's not, that it hasn't experienced, anything that's not tried and true, that your brain, your mind, doesn't have 100% confidence that you're going to survive, it'll tell you there is imminent death. It will tell you that there is danger when there's fear. And I want you to draw this distinction. Fear is mental and emotional. Danger is physical. Now, fear of public speaking it runs rampant, because your brain is telling you that there's danger when there's not, because danger is physical, right? Like, oh my God, I am going to die. My body is going to die. Your brain is constantly triggering you and alerting you to danger through fear, but there's a huge difference between fear and danger. Fear is that mental and emotional response to keep you from dying. But if there's no imminent death, then fear is an illusion, and fear is just a force that you can walk through. And now your brain is familiar, and this is why growth is through fear, not the absence of fear, is because now the next time you go to experience the same thing, your brain's familiar with it, your mind's familiar with it, and you don't have that same exact fear response. It's why speakers get up in front of the room. The first time they get up in front of the room, they're scared. The 50th time, maybe a little anxiety, but they get up there from experience. Like the first time in grade school, I was scared shitless. And now I might have some jitters beforehand, but as soon as I hit the stage and the spotlight comes on, I'm like, holy crap, let me go. And the fear vanishes, right? So that's your mind.
In the beginning. It's always in the beginning. I'm the same way. I'm a little nervous. And then once I hit that stage and that flow, next thing you know, it just goes poof. And I'm there, because Kylie goes, Dad, you look great. I go, I'm always a little nervous before I step out. And if you're not a little nervous, it's not deep to you. And I said, it's a natural response. I said, but it's like, oh, I've done this a million times. I can do it. And then you get in the flow and you start serving, you start giving purpose, and you're having fun. Like me, I'm going to laugh. I usually break something to laugh, because that's my thing, right? Making people laugh and doing that stuff. And then it just fades. And all of a sudden I'm done. I'm like, why would I keep doing this?
Exactly. And that's when we start machine gunning and go on for hours, right? The point is, at that point, your brain and your mind is in familiar territory, and it understands that there's some certainty, and it knows it feels safe. So your brain and your mind stand down, right?
Try to keep you comfortable.
Absolutely. It's trying to keep you alive, comfortable, safe. And it doesn't allow us to grow. If you listen to your thoughts and you believe all your thoughts, then you're going to live you're going to live like 80 years, like everybody else, right? Like most people, 78.69 years, but you're going to live the same exact day over and over and over and over for that entire time. And that's not life, that's death, to your point, right? That's living a death. That's waiting to death if you live the same day over and over.
That's just breathing. Like we said earlier, that's just breathing. It's not really living, because you're living this mundane life, doing the same, going through the same motions, just living, and your mind's going, no, you can't do that. I got to keep you safe. I got to keep you safe, because because we wire our brain through our beliefs and through continue living out that same stuff and buying into those beliefs that we wired that way. So anytime we try to do something different, it's like, no, we got to stay here. But when you start doing that, you make that journey, you make the commitment and take the responsibility, say, I am done. I'm going to make it. I'm done with this. I'm done feeling this way. It'll still try to come up, because come on, this is a lifelong thing. I still have stuff that holds me back. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I want people to understand that too. It's like whatever's going on in your physical world right now is not happening to you. It's happening for you. And you can have more fun when you realize that. So like I was sharing with someone, I got in a wreck in December, right? Got rear-ended, totaled my car, and I walked away, people are like, how the hell did you walk away? You know, I did some work, like asking some light healing energy, which sounds woo-woo-y, but man, when you're in this realm, you know that that's all there fucking is coming through. And I didn't have the pain. I was hurting. I had bruising. I mean, but I didn't like from the accident. I mean, I have no rear end left of that car. I mean, I got hit by an SUV and slammed into me in a dead stop at 50 miles an hour. Like I should have been dead, but I didn't. I should have been in a horrible lot of pain. I walked away. And I'm sitting there standing with the EMTs a few minutes afterwards. It took me a few minutes but I was still out of it. And the cops and the firefighters. And I had them laughing. I'm laughing. I'm in the emergency room, the doctor having her laugh. The receptionist who's having a rough day. I'm laughing. And then she's like, oh, I'm having a day. And I said, well, did you get freaking rear-ended? No, then you're not having a day. And we were all laughing. And people are like, how? I'm like, that happened. I'm like, because that happened for me. I could still laugh in the middle because I understand more of who I am. Do I still struggle at times? Absolutely, I do. See,
we all do.
And I know you can really confirm this because you've given me this. Challenges are inevitable. We're going to have challenges. That's the whole point of life and growth and evolution. We're going to have them. But you said this to me, and it just so powerful, is suffering is optional. You do not have to suffer through it. And you don't have to believe in something that says, oh, well, religion says, well, Jesus suffered, so therefore we're going to have suffering too. And we're not. No. That is, suffering is victim. We're not freaking victims. And I remember being told that I may be angry the rest of my life. I may just have this anger that I may be stuck with it, but that's okay. Because if I just keep giving it to God, then it's okay. You'll be okay. And I'm like, I'm fucking still suffering. My family's suffering, but I'm just going to be this anger guy. And I finally said, fuck this. I'm done. I'm done with that. And I started healing that piece of it, because we are God. Because God, like you said in the beginning, God's in everything. He's in the piano. He's in the keyboard. He's in this chair. It's all the energy. And there's the divine feminine God, and there's the masculine God. There's two pieces to that. And that's truth that I feel. I didn't learn that somewhere. I feel it.
It's not a knowing, it's a feeling, right? There's a oneness with that. Yep.
And I go, and you just know it's truth. And then the whole reason, like, because religion, you know what? I'm not, just like when you said, material things, working out, having a body, there's nothing wrong with those things. It's being attached to those things. There's nothing wrong with religion too, because there's some people who aren't ready. I say can't, they are capable of it, but they're not ready to go to the deepest level. And when I was in church, I had this longing for something more. And that's my thing, is I am more connected to the divine realms, not getting my truth here, but deeper. But even though some of this stuff here helps me get there, but I take it, I'm like, there's more. But I've learned to go within and saying, what does this mean? Why am I feeling this way?
So let me say that a different way. There's a veil between you and God, and that veil is only because you put it there.
Yes.
That's it. So, and you can't clear that veil through another human being. You have a direct channel to God. You've just put a veil between you and God, and it's a matter of unworthiness, right? And lack of feeling worthy and lack of feeling valuable. You put a veil there, saying that you can't connect immediately or completely to the divine, to God. But you can, it's your choice. You just put a veil down. You don't need another human being. You don't need a book. You don't need, I love my books, but you don't need a book. You don't need a church. You don't need a community. You have a direct channel directly to the divine. And if you don't feel that, it's your veil. You can take it away at any time you feel like it.
Which is fine. It's the whole, love part, right? Letting others voluntarily love. It's
Yeah.
fine. And
No
that's where
judgment.
you are. But I feel deeper, and I know, and I've experienced more. So you can't tell them any different anymore. And you absolutely can have that because we are that soul. We are God in the flesh because we are that soul. We are our portion because God is in everything. And that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with, really accepting that piece. And those who are watching who are religious in the Bible, you can go in your Bible and actually see that, but go deeper with it. Don't just listen to what's been told, because it says it word for word directly that we are God's. And Jesus even mentioned it.
Whatever I can do, you can do as well, right?
Yeah, but even in his thing, because he's being, he's getting charged by the Pharisees, right? And the high priest, he says, you say you're God. And he says, which I've never learned in church, it says, doesn't your law say that you were God's? Well, yeah. And then you go back and you learn this. So Jesus and all these other spiritual teachers and masters were actually teaching letting go of this veil, because we are that. It's about surrendering to the ego, that crucifixion of the ego, and resurrecting and ascending into who you truly are, this powerful divine being that has the ability to co-create and create and have this amazing, magnificent fucking life. And your desires are not wicked. You have these desires inside you to create, because that is what you're here for. And that's how you should be. And anything different is what makes you disconnected and feel like you're missing something.
You are God's thought. You are God's thought, and your desire is God's desire, right?
Well, I like how you God's thought. I like that.
Everything's for you, nothing's against you. It's all for the evolution of humanity. So yeah, let me pick this one apart a little bit, and put it back together in a healthier way. So here's how I like to form these constructs, right? That help me understand and help me like make rationality, or make rational the irrational, right? So we have a body, have a mind, and we are a soul. I read in another book, and I don't know which book it is, so I can't. I like to cite to make sure that I'm giving credit where credit's due. It says that human beings, since the soul is eternal, divine, powerful, abundant, your soul will not die, everlasting life, right? Your soul will not die. And I love the concept of this. Human beings are expendable, but humanity is not. So God is all of us. We are God incarnate, and we are like evolving the species and evolving God's universe and evolving God's creation. And we are tools of evolution. Beings are expendable, but humanity is not, because there is no death, right? You have a body, it will die. You have a mind, it will die, but your soul is perpetual. It will never die. So there's literally no risk. And I remember talking to you one time, and this is when you were in your right, your dogmatic days.
Yep.
And you were like, I'm gonna, there was this issue that we were working through. I'm not gonna, you can expose it. I'm not going to. But I said, okay, Tony. Well, what happens if this happens? You're like, well, and then we started going and walking. Well, then this happens. Well, then Kai leaves me, and Kai leaves me, then I'll be alone, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what happens if, 20 steps down the road, you say, then I die? I said, what happens when you die? I said, I'll go to heaven. Like, so what you're saying is the worst thing that can happen from this thing that you fear is that you'll go to heaven. And you went, well, that's a new take on things. Like, dude, there is no death. You have a body, you have a mind, you are a soul. You're infinite, eternal, powerful, and abundant. You are God. God is in you. Every cell in your body is a cell in your body, and we are cells of God's body. It's beautiful, right? Now, some people will say, that can't be true. There's got to be judgment. And, that means Hitler is blah, blah, blah. And like, listen, if it's not the highest form of love, garbage. Anything but the highest form of thought and love and complete joy and peace. If it doesn't bring a lightening of your load, then it's not truth. It is not anything that you have to hold on to. The only thing holding you back is you fear that you have to live a shrunken life, and you can't believe that God is all love all the time. The God that I believe in The God that I identify with is not a judgmental, arrogant, narcissistic prick that is going to take someone, create someone who's imperfect, and then judge them imperfectly and put them in hell the rest of creation. Torture. Sound like love to me. I don't know. You can have whatever God you want, but the God that I believe in and the God that I like feel is all love all the time. And there's these human challenges that we get to evolve over and through and past and beyond.
Yeah, and those challenges are, like we said earlier, is here to help us. And yeah, that's one of the biggest things too is fear. I'm like, well, God's not fear. If it's fear, then it's not God, because God is love in a pure sense. It's like, well, no, because you have a choice to believe, and if you don't choose to believe, then that's where you're going as hell. I'm like, that's still fear. That's still fear. And if you really want to get into it, and this is something I live, I'm like, I've been in hell in my human life. Hell's in the here. It's a metaphysical thing. It's been here, and I've been living in that by being disconnected from who I truly am, which is power. Because if we really step into this power of who we are, then there's no control over us. There's no control of us. And that's why Jesus died, because he was teaching how to have that power. And they're like, oh shit, we're losing control.
Internal power. Internal power.
Yes.
Love. And here's when I first heard personal power and internal power, I was like, well, that's another form of, like, you know, the alpha asshole and manipulation and control. But literally, it is the only thing, first of all, the only thing we possess, and the only thing we can control. We can build it and we can deplete it at our will and our whim. But, you know, I remember a pivotal point in my marriage, right, where I started on this transformational journey, and I've documented in the Imposter in Charge, and where my wife, I was 300 pounds, suicidal, alcoholic, and I would walk down the basement and I would start to get on the treadmill, and she'd come down and, you're selfish. You're using all your time for yourself. You're gone for 12 hours a day. Then you're going to come home from work and you're going to work out. And she would just attack me and belittle me. And I was like, okay, fuck yeah, Angie. And I'd get off the treadmill and I would like shrink to her every single time. Right. And I remember when I started really taking back control and authority for my own life, and she did the same thing. You're a selfish prick. I was like, you might be right, but I love you anyway. And at that point, with that single dagger, right, that dull dagger, that single point, I said, listen, you can think whatever you want about me. It has nothing to do with me. I love you anyway. And I don't have to be harmed by your words. Your words can't harm me unless I give you permission to harm me with your words. But if I'm harmed by, look, my wife is 5'10", 5'9", 5'10", I think, somewhere in that range. She's probably a little over half my weight. And physically, she cannot take me, right? Like if we matched up and sparred, there's 0% chance that she could like physically harm me. Okay? Does it make sense? Are you with me so far?
Yep.
But us alpha men will break in half over a woman's words. We will break in half if they say some shit that we don't want to hear. We think that's not giving our control and our authority. What happens when we lose our like self-control because of someone else's words is we're acting like a little bitch. We're acting like we can be broken. If we can be broken by somebody else's words that pose no danger to you, danger being physical. If someone can break us with their words, how is getting angry about those words really proving our masculinity? It's really not. It's proving that we're weak, that words can break us. So when she said, you're a selfish, narcissistic, blah, 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 asshole, you might be right, but I love you anyway. And that was a pivotal point the first time I said that, because up to that point, she would say some shit and I would attack back. She would say more shit and I would attack back. And here's something really cool. Ready? Write this shit down. If you're listening, watching, write this shit down.
Yep.
An argument is two people fighting for the victim position.
Ooh.
So she would attack, I would attack back. I'm a bigger victim. And she's, no, I'm a bigger victim. No, I'm I'm a bigger victim. No, I'm a bigger victim. And it's two people trying to fight to see who's the bigger victim. When somebody attacks, the person says, I love that you have that opinion. I don't share that opinion, but I love that you have that opinion. And I hope that is serving you. And, you know, if it is, awesome. If it's not, that's awesome too. But I don't have to I don't have to give you my energy and my emotion because of a thought and a belief that you're holding. It has nothing to do with it.
It has everything to do with them. And if
That's right.
we are allowing it, if we are attacking back because it's hitting what we already feel like we're missing on the inside anyway, right? So, and you can elaborate on this as well. It's like because we never really mentioned this, we kind of alluded to it, but our outside world is a reflection of how we feel on the inside. So our outside world is not reality because it can change when we decide to change it. When we decide to change the mirror, because that's the mirror of how we feel on the inside. When we change everything of how we feel on the inside, everything else aligns with that because we are all energy. We attract that vibrationally. And people can say that's all woo-woo and shit, but science has already proven that stuff. But it's absolute truth because that's what we do.
So I'm going to read these. Okay.
Yep.
This is cool. I've got this. I offer a free ebook. All right. So I've got sponsored ads flying around Facebook to connect with my free ebook. And for anybody who's listening or watching, all you need to do is go to mikekitko.com and you're going to get a pop-up and you can download that free ebook, right? But we got some ads running out there because my goal is to help like millions of men before the time I take my last breath. But in the comments of one of my ads, here's I'm going to read one of the comments, okay?
Sure.
I'm not going to say the name, but I want you to enlighten me. I mean, free help. You prove nothing feeding people in need bullshit. You have something to share, then prove that. Good luck. God bless. Now, that's the response to a free ebook that I'm giving away. Free ebook. Okay? Did I say that? He's saying, you prove nothing feeding people in need bullshit. You have something to share, then prove that.
You are.
I got a free ebook that you can have. So now I'm going to read two more comments on the same exact thread. I followed you to actually follow. I was overweight, alcoholic, hated everyone because of a relationship. Much like you, I turned around in a big way. Many similarities. I love you. Take it a step further and help others. Keep up the great work. I don't know either of these guys. And then after that, another guy came in and said, good stuff. I'm all about self-improvement for self-worth. I also learned a lot from a book called The 4 Agreements by Don Michael Ruiz. Great book. Both yours and his are life-changing. Great combo for anyone to check out. Thanks, dude. Now I'm going to read that first comment again. I want you to enlighten me. I mean, free help. You prove nothing feeding people in need bullshit. You have something to share, then prove that. Good luck. God bless. Think of the difference between interpretation of the same exact post. It has nothing to do about the post. The people they're filtering my post through their own belief system and through their own experiences. It has nothing to do with me. Those three has nothing to do with me. All they're doing is telling me who they are. All they're doing is telling me if they posted something like that, what their intentions would be. Huh.
It would be bullshit.
It literally, for one guy, it would be bullshit. He would just be after some money because that's what he's accusing me of. Right? So
everything should be free if you're trying to help people. But yet you don't want the help, dude.
So he's calling me out on the guilt and shame that he possesses inside.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with me. Because there's been hundreds of people that have downloaded that free ebook, and it has been a game changer for a lot of people. Just like the one guy said, he compared me to fucking Miguel Ruiz, which is, in my mind, unfathomable. Because the 4 Agreements has sold like millions and millions of copies worldwide.
Yep.
And he's saying both yours and his are life-changing. Holy crap. So first of all, I'm like, that's crazy that somebody would even think that.
Yeah.
But that guy, like, honoring me for what I'm doing has nothing to do with me.
He's honoring himself.
He's honoring himself.
He's taking ownership of it.
He's telling me the life that he has inside of him. It has nothing to do with me. Someone's judgment of you has nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with their beliefs, their experiences, their memories, their triggers, their patterns, and mostly intentions. Accusing you of their intentions. If they're telling you you shouldn't be charging for your services, what they're telling you is, I wish I could do that. It would be awesome, but I feel too much guilt and shame.
I don't feel worthy of accepting it.
Worthy of accepting it. They're not, it's not about me. And I can't anchor this enough. There's a great book called Rejection Proof. And it's about this guy who went out seeking rejection in the world because he realized how much rejection paralyzed him. He went out seeking it, and then he started struggling to find it. But when he was fearful of rejection, he found it everywhere. But when he was excited to get rejected, he stopped getting rejected. People started like going along with crazy plans because you project who you are out in the world, and people feel that and know that. These guys were projecting themselves onto my post. It has nothing to do with me. I know when I lay my head on the pillow at night, I know my intentions. I do. Is that for good intentions? Absolutely. But when I lay my head on the pillow, I sleep soundly because I know I'm helping people. Some people I help for free. Some people I help like with a financial transaction. But neither of those make me a bad person, but their interpretations are going to reveal who they are.
Who they feel they are, yeah.
Who they feel they are, yeah. Who they are at that point.
It's like, oh,
judgment's never about you.
You feeding people bullshit, prove it. How else do I got to prove it by giving this free ebook? But at the same time, you're a fucking piece of shit. Oh, God bless you.
I'm paying money to put an ad out, give you a free ebook.
Because you are serving people, you're doing something more. He's not that person, which there's no judgment as this guy, but we got to talk about this and bring it out. It's like, and make more light to it. It's like he is actually not doing it. Because now that you're doing what you're doing, he would love to do that, but he doesn't feel worthy of doing that, or he's believing in a belief or a religious belief or whatever that says that anything other than this is wrong or whatever, which is all egoic, fear-based shit in the first place. And so now you're bringing that up because now he feels that energy and saying, well, shit, I'm not doing anything with myself because I still feel this way as a man. So the best thing for me to do to feel better about myself is to lash out at this guy to see if I can get him to shrink down.
So when I was in scarcity, I was still living a life highly based on fear and feeling that I needed to take people's money. I had corporate executive positions, and the whole point is I was just a sacrificial lamb. I used to go to these jobs and I would lead the business, but I led the business not because I enjoyed it, but because there was a financial transaction, a very lucrative financial transaction. So I used to hear people say, I just want to help a lot of people. That's bullshit. Who wants to help anybody else? We just want money. That wasn't them.
Yeah, that was your belief.
I was projecting my intentions and my beliefs and how I showed up in the world onto them. And when someone else told me their intentions that they just want to help people, I'm thinking, you're a liar. You're a liar. We both know you're lying. Why don't we just be truthful? And now that I'm on the other side of that, I just want to help a lot of people. There's people accusing me of just wanting to steal money from them. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. But now I've been on both sides. It's easy to spot that.
Yeah,
right?
and I've been there too. And it's like, and that's the thing. I love. You talked about that rejection proof book, which I haven't read that yet, but I wrote it down. I'm gonna put that on my own list because that was one of my biggest things about wanting to be accepted and loved, especially with my dad and all this other stuff, and breaking away and really doing this work that I'm doing now that I'm really stepping into, which I freaking fought tooth and nail, especially when your wife, Angie, says, you're not supposed to be a coach. You're supposed to be an entertainer, something with comedy and being a comedian. And I'm like, no. I'll try. And I was trying to fit it in this box that I thought this is how I should be showing up. This is what everybody expects of me versus being congruent to who I really am as an entertainer, as the spiritual comedian, but still using my spiritual gifts to help people heal, but using humor to do it. And I fought it. I'm trying to do a little here, but I'm still not stepping into it. And I'm fighting it. And then I get an astrology reading, and my astrology chart says spiritual comedian. And I'm like, fuck me. I can't get away from this.
Surrender, right? Just keep surrendering. And when you think you've surrendered, surrender some more. You're getting all the signals.
And it's
life's pulling you along.
And it's doing that and going more. And it's like, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to start doing this transformational comedy stuff and actually making fun of my life versus the whole boo-hooey emotional side of things, but making fun of it out of humor, because there's people who are struggling with that. And now they're like, holy shit, he can laugh at that. Like, I came up with this. It sounds morbid because I'm like, how can I make the death of my wife and finding my wife dead funny? And most people, you can't do that, right? And I'm going, and then it came to me. I was like, oh, some people were like, oh, damn. It's going to rub some people the wrong way. And that's okay, because that's their shit. And I'm like, this is how it's supposed to show up. Instead of having these tears with it, I'm supposed to be showing up with it. Yeah. Do I still get emotional? Of course I do. I mean, but
why was it perfect? Right? Think about this. Why was your wife's death perfect? It happened.
Yes.
It is imperfect. Look at you.
Exactly.
Is he going to bring her back? No. All it does is create resistance to an event that happened. Yes. And that's to your point, what 2 hours ago when we were talking. Yeah. I don't know how long ago it was, but it was some time ago, maybe a few minutes. But you said suffering, right?
Yes.
There's going to be some events that happen that they don't align with your plan, right? They don't align with the life that you would have created if you had full control of everything. But it's when you resist what happens that creates the suffering. You control your level of resistance to everything.
Yes. So suffering's optional.
I've got a banana here on my desk, and I have fully accepted that banana. Now, if I really wanted 5 bananas sitting there and I just caused myself some suffering and pain because, there should be 5, damn it. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that there's a banana sitting on my desk. And I'm minimizing it, right? But that's the same way somebody dies. Is it painful? Yes. It causes grief. But does that grief have to result in suffering? No, because look, you guys got pets. If there's anybody in the audience who's ever had a pet, the life expectancy of a dog is 0 or somewhere around 10 to 12 years, right? They're going to live between 0 and 12 years. We know they're going to die in a very, finite period of time. 0 to 12, 0 to 10, or 0 to 15. I guess some little small ones, 10. They're off. But we buy them when we adopt them, knowing that they're going to die. And when they die, then some people are like, for the rest of their life, they're grieving that dog and they're resisting the death of that dog. He should still be here, blah, blah, blah. Death happens. Death of the body and death of the mind happens. Only 100% of the time. Everything has a life cycle. Resisting that thing is what creates the suffering.
Suffering is saying, I know she was going to die, but it shouldn't have happened here.
It shouldn't have happened. It should have happened the way I had planned.
Yes. And because it didn't, that messes up how I think things should be. Yeah. And therefore I'm struggling. And then we attach to, and you just popped this into my mind as you were saying that. And I was like, ooh, this is good. Is that, we had this need. Well, I have to suffer. We have this need and attachment to suffering for whatever beliefs. I have to suffer. I have to grieve this, because if I don't grieve this, I'm going to forget about this person. And this is going to happen. And this is going to happen. It's like, no. Because now you can honor them more. And I did that with Jen and Angie, when Jen came to Angie and which was freaky at first, but I can't deny that because she said some things that nobody knew. So it come to me, it's like, you're not honoring her by living this way, by doing this. Be truthful about it, but share in it. And it's been absolutely amazing. And in the past year, me starting to accept it more, I'm grieving it less. Doesn't mean it goes away. There's times you know what? I'm fucking human. I'm going to miss her, period.
Yeah,
But the
no
thing
doubt.
is I don't suffer by trying to resist the feeling of that. It's like, oh, I feel fucking sad. I'm going to cry right now. And guess what? Poof, it's gone.
She shouldn't have died, but she did.
She did. And it's been
either,
absolutely powerful for me.
We could either surrender to it or resist it for the rest of our life. But
I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing this thing, had it not happened. I wouldn't have an amazing daughter that said, okay, I'm done because she's going to marry a guy like me and she's going to marry this fucking narcissistic, angry, toxic asshole and I'm going to kill the dude, which is still carrying on the whole freaking toxic shit. And I'm like, no, I'm changing it. And guess what? I don't live with anger every day like that pastor told me. I am fucking free from it. Do I still get angry occasionally? Yes. But it doesn't own me? Fuck no, because I catch it very quickly and I go, ooh, what's going on? What am I afraid of in here? And I go inside. And if I screw up and I project that onto Kylie or someone else, I fucking own it. And I'm free. And I go back, I'm like, oh, damn. And guess what's cool about that is because, oh, I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't do, we have more suffering here. I no longer do that because the magic is in the screw up. People understand that. I want you to hear that. The magic is in the screw up, not the lack of screwing up. Because when I screw up, my daughter and I grow even closer because I own it and take responsibility. We talk about it and I'm free of going, hey, this is why I got angry. It had nothing to fucking do with you. It had everything to do with me. And she looks at me like, well, Dad, that's stupid for feeling that way. I'm like, I know it is, but I'm telling you what it was. But she calls me out too. So she's like my feminine.
Failure creates success, right? It doesn't prevent it. It creates success. Last night, I connected with a Marine that I was stationed with. We were roommates over in Okinawa back in 1994, right? And it's the first time in about 20 years that we've talked. We talked shortly after I got out, but it's the first time in 20 years that we've talked. And he understands the story a little bit, but you know, we did some catching up, and I told him all about my story. And there's a pivotal point in my life where I said I either had the choice to pull the trigger and end my life, or start to like surrender and live the life that I want to live. And that was a critical decision that I had to make. It was a split second decision to live instead of die, right? I was ready to pull the trigger. And the point being, when I got to that state and I said I was there, and he goes, oh man, I'm sorry. I was like, no, it was the fucking best day of my life, right? Because I got to make the decision to live. It was awesome. Like literally, I got to make the decision to live, and look where I am now, right? In terms of, I help executives, I help leaders all over the country. I've got a men's group. I've got a mastermind starting. I've got free ebooks that are everywhere. I'm a published author. None of that shit would have been possible if I wouldn't have been at that state. Because with the path that I was on before, right? With the path that I was on before that led me up to that, there was no external significance in the world. All I did was go to work, sacrifice myself, and earn a paycheck. That was it. I didn't feel valuable. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel talented. I didn't feel significant. I didn't feel like I mattered. I made a lot of money, but money doesn't make you feel like you matter, right? But if I wouldn't have gotten to that point, if I wouldn't have stayed in that same state for a long time, been brought to my knees, been crippled, and been forced to make a decision whether to live or die, I wouldn't be here right now. It was awesome. The best day of my life. Best day of my life, by far. Best decision ever made, too.
And people still say that about when I say, oh, my wife died 9 years ago, because it'll be 9 years next month. And I'm like, and I get it, because that's what people are conditioned and oh, shoot, that sucks, because they feel the suffering. And I'm like, I no longer suffer on it, because I'm where I'm at doing this amazing shit. And I can honestly say now that I'm an amazing dad. Remember how I used to struggle with that?
Yeah.
I'm an amazing fucking dad. I own that, because she's growing up to this amazing woman. And now that she's in the teenage years, it's a different realm for me, because she's going more independent. So that has helped me deal with more of my insecurities coming up. And I'm like, fuck, it has nothing to do with her. And I project less. And this whole thing, and I don't know why this is coming to me, but this sharing, it's like people say, oh, my kids need to be respect me. And I called someone out on it in a loving way. And I said, it has nothing to do with them respecting you. You don't respect you. And they're, oh, I'm like, I know that was a sucker punch, gut punch. But because I'm here to serve humanity, and I've learned that on my own, I've learned that through doing my own work. Everything that we expect other people to give to us is because we feel lacking on the inside and we're trying to force them into a thing. It's like we tell our kid, we get pissed off at our kids for being crabby, but yet we get fucking crabby. But it's no, you can't get crabby and talk to me that way.
Right.
Who the fuck are you? It's like, it's
not,
okay for you, but not for them.
You're not human. You're not human. Yeah. So I've got a 17-year-old daughter. And this is, you know, my older daughter, not oldest, because that means you have three, or more. But my older daughter, Katie, when she was little, man, we were like, we were Velcro.
Yeah.
I mean, I called them. I've got two daughters, Katie and Megan, but I used to call them butt cheeks because no matter where I was, man, they were like right here, and they were Velcro to me. And you know, we had discussions, and it was that time. My nose is itching, guys. I apologize. So not too much because I'm human, but we used to have conversations, and she was, yeah. I'm not sticking my finger up my nose, so I'm going to keep itching my nose. But there were times where she was growing up, and you know, I used guilt and shame that, hey, when you become a teenager, you're going to start to pull away from me, and you know, that's the growth process. And I was almost trying to like guilt and shame her that when it happens, to not do it. It was for my benefit. It wasn't to allow natural progression of you know, her being you know, a child. It was so that I could look back at some point and say, remember when I had this conversation, I told you this was going to happen. I was literally trying to incite guilt and shame to manipulate and control her into not veering away from me. It wasn't a loving technique. It was a shame. It was a manipulative and controlling guilt and shame technique. Now, right now, she's 17 years old, and she walks. Me and my wife are sitting at the coffee table, or sitting at the table when my two daughters come down and get ready for school because they're on autopilot. And they come down and we say, you know, I always say every morning, hey, girls, let me know how I can help. I'm right here. If you need any help, I got you. And they always say, I'm fine, Dad. And, you know, they kind of ignore me. And my daughter, Katie, might say on her way out, bye, I love you. Maybe. And that might be all she says to me all day long. And you know what? She's 17 years old. She's 17 years old. She's not broken. She's not disrespectful. She's freaking 17. It has nothing to do with me. But I could easily say that it's a sign of disrespect and she needs to be different. But it's a genetic freaking driver to start to create distance and space between a child and their father, between a child and their parents. It's a genetic pull for independence that helps her get up on her feet. I could control her, manipulate her, guilt and shame her, but we're not going to win against humanity.
It's going to create more pain and suffering in our own end. You know, reason we're trying to go, you need to tell me you love me, which, you know, I feel more of that because Kylie and I have been really close because it's been her and I, but she's starting to do all this. And then there's times like even when I went to the freshman orientation last night, which I'm going, how is this happening? And she did. I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to go in here. And she had to go do her thing separate, which was a first for me with the school stuff. And I said, here, give me a hug and a kiss. She's like, why? And I'm like, just give me a hug and kiss. But then I felt this resistance. I'm like, nope, that's my own shit because she's going away. It has nothing to do with the disrespect. But even the way sometimes they talk to us, that's their innate thing, saying that, you know, they're, you know, disrespecting the way they talk to us. And it's like, if we get pissed off, it's like, it has everything because they triggered us inside. And there's times I'm like, hey, you went a little too far with that. But I'm really calm. It's like, hey, you went a little too far with that. Let's keep that down the way you were just talking to me. I'm like, it's okay to you do that sometimes because you're human. But the really just, I still don't allow someone to treat me like shit. And you just went
boundaries and consequences, right? Boundaries.
There's no screaming and yelling. If I'm screaming and yelling, I get pissed off. It's all me. But when I go, hey, you went too far. There's a boundary. You just went past that. And then she's like, I'm sorry. But it's like, and I ask her sometimes, like, do you know, because she'll get really crabby and just freak out. One minute she's loving, and the next thing she's like this demon spawn. You know, I joke around about that stuff. And it's like, what the fuck is all these emotions are going on, right? And it's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I go, do you know why? She goes, I don't even know why I do and say the stuff I do towards you. And she goes, I don't like it, but it just happens. And I'm like, It's that whole, she's going through and feels like she's losing control because she's going through these hormonal, and boys do it too, because they're going through their hormonal changes too, and they're going through their own independence. It's like, allow them that ability. They got to grow, evolve, just like we have to grow and evolve if we allow to. And guess what? It's not always easy. We don't understand this emotional trauma and this pain that we're fucking dealing with. And then we're trying to control the emotions and how we feel. Oh, I'm not supposed to feel this way. Oh, I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be mad. I shouldn't be this. I shouldn't be that. You're feeling them. You should be feeling them. Honor them. Embrace them. And when you bring light to them, just observing them, they poof, you go through it. And that's how you get the emotional control. That's how you end up gaining mental control. Everybody's like, oh, we got to be logic. There is no logic or logical decision without some emotion behind it. I don't care what you say. Emotion's always driven it.
Yep. Agreed. And just like I said this morning, or with the conversation I had with my wife this morning, I was sitting there and she said, hey, what's on your calendar? What do you got going on today? And that thought popped up. Who the fuck do you care? I could have easily adopted that and participated in that and said, yeah, what do you care? Right? Little voices, little voices going, hey, what do you fucking care? Yeah, what do you care? And got all badass and, bent out of shape. And I could have fucking started a fight. But instead I went, wow, that was pretty cool. I just saw this thought pop up and it's awesome. I love you.
But that's the funny thing. And I want to really point that out because you had that thought, right? And then you're laughing at it and then you're sharing it and you're both laughing. This is the point of having fun. You're not attached to it. And you're able to fucking laugh at that shit when you fuck up, or you're like, what the fuck was that? And but even when you screw up, you can sit here and laugh at it later. That's the piece of it. And that just, when I just said attachment, right? The reason that we struggle with certain things because we have attachments to the outcomes, attachments to how things are, and that creates
what should be. We're attached to what should be, and we squeeze out and we pinch off what is. We don't accept what is. We try to, 7.7 billion people on the planet. There's politics, there's economics, there's religion, there's all these different dynamics that are flying around, and we live in our should be world. And we resist anything that's not in our should be world. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of dropping your should be's and accepting what is, because it is.
It's happened. You can't change it. It's doing it. Someone dies of cancer. Well, that sucks. A kid dies of cancer. Well, why does God do that? They signed up for that somehow, and that's how it happened. But there's an underlying purpose. And I know some people are going to have a hard time just listening to what I just said, but everything happens for a reason, whether it's rape, whether it's murder, whether it's something's there. There's a reason behind it. Always. There's an experience there. And you have to be and learn to evolve and let go of the should have happened. This happened because it did happen. It happens.
The fear diminishes when you realize that we have a body, we have a mind, and we are a soul, and we're infinite and eternal and powerful and abundant. We're just a cell within God's body, and we're infinite, and there really is no death. And some people are like, oh my God, no, there is death, and there's heaven and hell. You can agree with that if you want. You can adopt that belief if you want. But it's a lot more peaceful on the side that I live in. I've lived in that land, right? And I'm not trying to get you or convince you to come to my side. But I'm saying is if it doesn't promote peace and calm and love and joy, then there's an element of garbage that's baked into it, right?
And it's internal peace. It's internal happiness that you have access to, that you don't need something outside of you to bring that to you because it's already available to you. You just got to tap into that, because I'm more free now and peaceful now. But my journey began. It's like, oh shit, if I'm breaking away from these beliefs, then I thought I was going to fucking die. And I still had this, I'm in hell. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in hell right now. And I was living it out for a while. And it's like, for this attachment, I'm going to go back to the attachment piece, and we attach to these things. How should it be, right? I could have easily freaked out when my car got totaled. I only had it less than 2 years old, and that thing had like 30,000 miles on it. And I was really happy with that car. And I was like, oh, fuck, what the hell am I going to do now? How am I going to get a new car? I could have easily been like, oh, fuck. But because but did it suck? Oh, yeah, it sucks. I lost my car, and I got to go through this. But I just go, well, I'm alive. It's cool.
Right.
And I go, there's a reason behind this. And that's what allowed me to laugh. When I had pain, I had physical black and blue bruises from hitting the door, I guess. I don't know. I still don't know how it happened, but I had bruising from the seatbelt. I mean, muscle spasms, and still working through that stuff, right? I had a lot of muscle pain and just tightness. but because I wasn't attached to it. And you know, dude, I was attached to a lot of my physical shit, even my cars. You remember that one I was trying to let go of it? I'm like, I can't let go. And I'm like, I'm going to lose everything and this and that. You're like, you're laughing at me.
Your identity, yeah.
But
You're
now
more
I'm
of a
like,
man because you have a car, sure.
oh, that sucks. That happened, but I'm going to have some fun with it. And then, because that goes right back to you laughing at, what the fuck was that? That thought. And you're like, Angie, I got to share this with you. This is fucking funny. And then it's just like, because you're both.
She's like, where did that come from? I think, I don't know.
I don't know. And it's funny. And you get sad and you get depressed, right? You can laugh and you're like, oh, this is fucking awesome because you're not attached to it. It's a natural emotion.
So Tony knows this, but not everyone does. When I wake up in the morning, it's like my feet hit the floor. I'm on fire. Right now, I peter out somewhere around 8 or 9 o'clock p.m. But when I wake up, it's like and I'm in the zone and I'm in my fire and I go and I run like a greyhound at a horse or at a dog race. I'm running 1,000,000 miles an hour all day long, right? So it's just an element of excitement and joy and just anticipation of all the cool stuff that I'm now participating in. And I remember waking up one day and going, this is kind of cool. I haven't felt this in a while. and it was fleeting. I knew it was going to go away, right? I knew we have emotion, we feel emotion. We're not emotion, it's not our identity. It flows, it cycles, right? That's why sometimes you feel happy and sometimes you feel not so happy. Emotion cycles. All you have to do is let the wave flow, but accept where it is, what's going on right now.
And don't attach to it.
And don't attach to it. So I woke up and I was like, oh, I feel kind of depressed. This is kind of different. It's kind of cool. I haven't felt this in a while. And sure as shit, a day later, it was like that wave had already collapsed and had vanished. And I'm in a whole different zone. The fire's back. But if I would have said, I should be different, I should be better, and I'm living in the should be world, right? There's pain, there's suffering in the should be world. Man, it's so much more fun in the is world than the should be world.
Yes, and I still struggle with that piece of like, oh, I should be doing more. I should be doing more because if I'm not doing something, then I'm not going to be successful. I'm not successful. I'm like, I got to do this, and I'm like, damn, I'm not doing enough. I should be finishing this video. I should be doing this because I got to get out there. And I'm like, but right now it's not happening for whatever reason. If I'm creating a resistance or there's a universal thing holding there, but right now it is what it is, and it's perfect timing. And when I finally pull myself out of that, but the thing is too, is we get in this idea and this thing that says, okay, we got to work, hustle and grind, which there's no problem with, hustling and grinding, but it doesn't have to look that way, because the reason we got to hustle and grind and we got to do all this thing, we got to work 24/7 is because we feel that if we're not working, it won't come to us. When you actually let go of that resistance and sit back and allow flow, shit flows to you easily. It's like, no, you're in sales. You got to work all the time. You can't take days off. And I'm like, fuck, I know people who hardly work 10, 15 hours a week and they're making 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, or some are making 7 figures and they hardly work because they know the thing. And I'm talking to one of them that allows this flow. It's about you don't have to force anything. When you are in a great vibrational match, this energetic match, it flows to you because that's in our natural state. And the reason it's not is either timing or we're resisting it.
Yeah. Yeah. What you wants you, right? And it's trying to come to you. And the more you stress your ass out, the least likely it's coming to you.
I'll get there. And if you feel there's a disconnect somewhere with it, right? It's because you're trying to think it's somewhere else. It's like, you know what? I'm right where I'm at. And it's like, hey, I feel like there's more that I could be doing. That's a deeper feeling. Then it's like, all right, I'm not going to stress out about figuring it out because I have the desire to get more structure or more discipline or whatever it is and whatever I'm doing, and saying something needs to change here. It's going to eventually come to you, and it's going to happen because you feel that deeper desire to do that. Don't try to force it. Be okay with where you're at, but keep doing something to move forward, and eventually inspired action, you will get there.
Man, find the joy in things, right? So I know we're getting ready to close up, but if it doesn't bring joy, then is it really worth doing? Because there's not joy in the outcomes. There's joy now in the actions that create the outcome. If you're always living for the outcome, then that outcome, the joy that you're going to get from the outcome is very, very fleeting, right? Because desire in a human being naturally creates more desire. So let me say that differently, is the goal or the outcome that you think will make you happy will only bring you a bigger, like more broader desire, higher level desire. So if you're not enjoying the process of achievement or the outcome, then you're not going to enjoy the outcome because it's going to create more desires. And what's the point? You're never really going to be satisfied, right? You're not going to be satisfied.
Like, oh, when I have this thing, this amount of money, this job, this career, this business, this level of business, this relationship or whatever, then I'll be okay. It's like, no, you got to be okay now and figuring how to let go of those attachments and outcomes, and then it'll flow to you.
Yeah.
At some point, but you got to let go. It's like, oh no, it needs to be here now. It may not be here at this moment. When the timing is right, it'll flow. Everything flows in correct timing, right? In the best divine timing. It's going to be here.
So you can sit down to do something right now, right? No, let me tell you how it shows up for me. If I sit down and I'm creating something right now and I'm doing it from a place of resistance and I don't want to do this thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Typically what I've seen in my own life, it never generates the results that I was looking for to begin with.
Yes.
If I sit down and I enjoy this thing, no matter what it is, if I sit down and enjoy this thing that I'm doing right now, it generally moves the needle in some way, shape, or form, especially with my happiness and my joy of doing this thing. But there's always results attached to that happiness and joy that creates the outcome that we're looking for.
And it flows easily, not by force. It flows easily, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that, man, we can go on and on, but we got just a few minutes left. And I want to come to an end so we make sure we get to the next appointments and stuff like that. But I have one final question for you, and then I want you to share how people can get in touch with you, how to get the book, The Imposter in Charge, which I recommend you get it. It's freaking phenomenal. Plus your the Awakened Alpha membership. I want you to just briefly, and then I'll have all of these links in the show notes on YouTube if you're watching it, or in the podcast or whatever play you have. But here's the question I have for you. When I ask this question, I want you to give me the first thing that comes to mind, because it is a loaded question, is what is one key to having fun in life? First thing.
For me, moving people's asses. So the word that came up when you said that was impact. Impact. I lived so long for myself and just for financial security and for accumulation. I lived so long for me. Fun for me is impact. It's having some sense of significance in the world that I'm impacting someone's life in a positive way. I can't overemphasize that I wake up on fire to serve humanity, right? And I've got free stuff that I put out there, and I'm always trying to, I do these silly little Facebook posts that help walk people to a different way of thinking. I serve in a lot of different ways for absolutely $0 because my intention, of course, I got a family to feed and, I've got dreams to fulfill. But the point being is I wake up on fire to impact humanity. I want to move the needle. It's that sense of significance that I lacked my whole life. And that sense of internal significance is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And that internal significance creates massive external significance, right? In impacting humanity.
And that's how we're meant to anyways, to serve in some form or fashion, but using our gifts and talents. Like for me, it's having fun and making others laugh. And now we joked around about this earlier. We joke around this all the time, that you love to get right in the moment. You're laugh. But you're like, okay, I'm fucking done laughing. Shut up, Tony. I want to get back into it. And I'm like, let's fucking laugh some more. You're like, no, I'm laughing. Now let's get back. And you're like, no, you're laughing. We're having fun with this, but your fun looks a little different. And how I serve and impact people looks a little different, but it's both equally fun in ourselves. It's not like, well, Mike, you need to be fucking more light and you need to laugh all the fucking time like I do. No, I'm a fucking comedian. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm an entertainer. You laugh and you have fun, but you are just bam, you're right in there in the face and underneath people's asses, like you said.
I call it deep water conversation, right? So when you're on the beach, there's people that are like, and we're talking about problems. The water is problems. Cool?
Yep.
Challenges. there's people that are on, like, they're in the shallow water, and they're like, well, look, it's your, how about this? It's your willingness to address your problem, not just your problem. But there's people that are on the beach, and they have problems, but they're not willing to touch them.
Yep.
They just want to keep living their programmed life. There are people in the ankle deep water that they know their problems are there, they're aware of them, and they know there's something to do, but they're still not ready. There's people that are waist deep up in their problems, and they're aware that they're sinking, but they really still aren't in a position to address them. And there's people out in the deep water that can't even touch the ground, that are swimming in their problems. Those are the people that I want to be around, right? So,
yeah.
And the people like you, Tony, that are they're sinking because they're being, they're surrounded by their challenges, and they're out there, and they're scurrying, but at the same time they're doing it with fun and joy, right? And they desire to be there and to work through their challenges, so they're having the time of their life. But there's people out there that are flailing because they have no idea what to do. Those are the people. Those people that are enjoying it are my friends. Those people that are drowning, those people are people that I work with, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have time for the waist deep and the ankle deep and the people sitting up there. So I want to get into a conversation and get as intense and in depth as quickly as possible, because look, we only have a certain number of breaths, and I don't want to spend them on shallow water or waist deep conversation. This doesn't make any sense.
And with me, like we having these conversations, I could take a serious conversation and have fun and laugh through it all. Because people are like, you need to be more serious. I go, no, I'm going to have fun and laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about a serious situation. I can make it humorous because that's my fucking gift. And, I had you laughing more than usual. No, just kidding. But you were able to do that and still get right back into the power of it. And that's the beauty. You can have this power and still have fun and laugh. And be, I'm like, fuck you and your seriousness, because you just don't know how to have fun. I do now, and I'm not shrinking anymore. But we're going to come to an end because we got to get going here.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm cutting you off because you told me to, and I want to make sure that we do that. So, anybody that reaches out on Instagram, Facebook, and get his book, The Imposter in Charge, I'll have links to all of this and learn about his Awaken Alpha membership. Men, you don't want to miss this at all.
At a minimum, go to my website, MikeKitko.com, MikeKitko.com. If you're listening, go grab my free ebook. It is a game changer. It's called Life Mastery: The 3 Anchors and the 5 Actions that moved me from suicidal to internally powerful. They moved the needle on my life, and I know they'll have a good impact. The Awakened Alpha membership is really a community of guys that are looking to grow in their internal power, grow in their significance, grow in impact, show up for themselves, show up for society, and most important, show up for your family in love, letting others voluntarily evolve. No manipulation, no control, no shame, no guilt, no threat, no blame, just love.
Absolutely love that, brother. Thank you so much for coming on here. I knew we were going to have a powerful conversation, and I had to have you on because all the stuff he's talking about, all his free ebooks, is everything I've gone through personally, and that's what led me here. And I've got to the point where I'm at, but now I'm on this almost autopilot of going right in and do the stuff and then just honoring where I'm at. But I am where I'm at today greatly because of this man right here. You will not be disappointed. I've been through it. You will find your true source, your true north, and you will have an amazing life, and you'll have a ton of fucking fun doing it however you have fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun showing up as yourself. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the space. And guys, thanks for guys and gals. Thanks for your ears. And I hope you live the most powerful life possible. It doesn't have to be the way somebody else intends to live.
Yes. Awesome, man. I love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Thank you.